Aliens, UFOs, and goodness knows what else in the sky, oh my. May I offer you some 10-foot tall aliens? A video showing two human-like creatures on top of a hill on an island in Brazil is gaining a lot of traction on social media. According to a report, the beings were, 10 feet tall, and they were spotted on Ilha do Mel, which is an island more than 3 kilometers off of the coast of southeast Brazil. Now this is a nice little spot for environmentally conscious travelers and beach lovers, and it's celebrated for its varied ecosystems. It's about 5 kilometers in length, 800 meters in width, and it's a scenic mosaic of natural marvels, according to the folks who visit there. So if we're looking at the video of we got our two big beings, we got one, and we got a second one standing nearby, and their appearance on the hilltop sparked a lot of buzz amongst locals. They're standing pretty confidently on top of the hill, and apparently that top of the hill, hard to get to for normal people, and the shrubbery, it barely hits their knees. They were like walking around, swinging their arms in a very human-like manner, but not enough to convince people that these weren't aliens. Somebody said in the video, it's too big to be a person. Look at the way he moves, it's really weird. Look at the size, it's very fast. Now somebody else said, for me, it's enough to see the speed with which this creature goes down the hill. Anyone who has done trails on hills like this knows you don't go down a hill like this in 1 to 2 minutes. The way they move reminds me a lot of the Men in Black critters, which like, no thank you. One other person wrote, one thing I do know, I will never step there again. Now even the Brazilian government had something to say. Wow, something other than, we have nothing to say. Now they were like, oh yeah, oh my gosh, surreal, what happened? This was not a confirm nor deny, but that very much felt like a confirm. Folks, what are you tweeting out these days? And is your Twitter okay? Good old malls, usually home to folks just walking around, a lot of senior walking groups, the most annoying families you will ever encounter. Trust me, I did my time in a mall. But apparently on the first day of 2024, the Miami Mall, over in Florida, might just have been home to something a little more out of this world, and not just your usual Florida mans. Apparently a group of around 50 folks caused a riot at Bayside Marketplace, which is an outdoor mall roughly 5 miles away from South Beach, according to the Miami Police Department. Now these folks were setting off fireworks, which obviously led to a panic, because a lot of folks assumed there was a much more major crime. Now this was a statement from the Miami Police Department, and eventually 4 folks were arrested. So obviously when people are arrested, it's because police have been dispatched. They gotta control a crowd. There's a lot of people holiday shopping. Some businesses were temporarily closed to allow folks to clear the area, and the police were like, look, there's no aliens, nothing to do with this. No airports were closed, nothing's being withheld from the public. LOL. Well, folks, that's what people in power always say, so I believe that statement as far as I can throw it, especially with the LOL. Because here's the thing, in the days after the incident, folks on social media launched a heck of a frenzy. They were like, no. Miami Mall aliens, this is a thing. They believe that police were responding to aliens, not, used to getting up to trouble. Several people reviewed video of the incident circulating online, and they claimed they could see an alien figure in the grainy footage. Now everybody else was just like, meme, because that's what we do on the internet. To quote a post I saw on the app formerly known as Twitter, they said, 10-foot aliens / creatures caught on camera, fired at inside and outside Miami Mall, media silent, cops are covering it up, saying people were fighting with fireworks, yet all these cop cars and air traffic stopped that night except for black military choppers, and no media coverage. Wow, I'm getting a really bad case of deja vu, folks. Government cover-ups. Now clips taken from that viral video were crazy reshared on social media, and yeah, people claim they saw 8 to 10 foot tall aliens. So look, we've got the low quality clip, and it does appear to show a tall glowing figure near police vehicles. Look, I've seen videos that were less likely to be aliens turn out to be worth something in terms of being the genuine article, so I'm not dismissing it. Here's the thing, what if every Florida man photo or meme was just an alien trying to blend in here on Earth and failing? So imagine that you're a homeowner, you're going out into your backyard just to throw away the trash, and suddenly you're nose to nose with an alien. Now, I don't think that's going to happen to me in this lifetime, because owning a house in this economy? So last June there was a video circulating on the app formerly known as Twitter, and it depicted a non-human entity appearing briefly and blinking. The footage revealed a distinct form featuring 2 large eyes, aligning with, well, somebody called in, and that matched their description. The caller reported, there's like an 8-foot tall person, and there's somebody else, and there's big eyes, and it's looking at us, and it's there. So we've got a video. You can see 3 men and a woman. They're trying to record this so-called non-human creature, and one of them is armed with a personal safety device, and they all appeared visibly frightened by the presence of this non-human entity. Yeah, there was no official police statement, but there was footage accessed by the local news, where you do see one officer walking into said backyard to investigate, and the witnesses are telling the police like, I don't believe in it, but what I saw right now, I do believe in. And the officer was like, yeah, you guys seem like legit scared, so I don't blame you. Now obviously the police closed the case because they're like, oh, there's nothing concrete here, but like, come on folks, we all know better. So sometime over the last year, multiple people recorded footage of a glowing orange light hovering in the sky over none other than Canada's Wonderland. Now me, being the skeptic that I am, I actually doubted the influx of videos I was being sent until I had time to sit down and watch them. And I don't know what it could be other than a UFO. Like, I'm all too familiar with the air traffic over that park. So originally I was like, okay, maybe it's one of the many millions of holiday lights they have glowing in their park because it's Christmas. Pretty sure that video was taken in the winter. But the glowing figure goes from being vertical in one video to completely horizontal in another, and it kind of alternates between staying solitary and moving around. So it doesn't look like any drone I've ever seen in this lifetime, and technically drones are not allowed to be flown directly over the park. Don't ask me how I know, I just kind of know. So like, maybe the aliens wanted to see what a theme park was like. Like, I don't know. It's Christmas, it's cute. We're gonna time travel back a little 13 years, and we're gonna go to the Vatican. So here's a headline for you to chew on. Was Rome visited by unidentified flying objects? So according to reports, there was a UFO flap that happened in Rome, and strange objects were caught on camera, not once, not twice, but several times. I think the most important footage is there's this odd luminous formation, and this was captured by 3 security guards stationed in front of the residence of the US ambassador to the Vatican. Now, these are pretty credible witnesses. They're guys that are like trained experts in air surveillance. I believe it was 4 a.m. June 7th, and these guys were like, yeah, we spotted 3 spherical bright objects hovering in the sky above St. Peter's Dome in the Vatican, right in the center of Rome. So obviously they're like, hey, we've got a cell phone, let's see what we're doing here. And from their point of observation, they stopped a police patrol. They were like, okay, maybe it could be a commercial plane. Nope, not a jet fighter, not a balloon. And they were looking at the swift maneuvers that this object was taking, and it was darting towards the sky. It was like a whole formation. There was luminous dots that were suspended at like 300 feet above the ground. And they said, there is no way a conventional airplane could do such things. The UFO disappeared and reappeared for brief moments, with sudden changes of altitude before it darted, I believe, westbound at like a 40-degree angle. Now the police were like, hey, we're reporting this. Like, they alerted the central police station in Rome, and we do have the video, which was acquired by the Italian police. Now, a lot of TV networks also took this news seriously. There was a anchorwoman who said, we will now show you exclusive footage of a UFO sighting in Rome. Folks were taking this seriously. The Brazilian Roswell incident, known as the Varinga case, has resurfaced, igniting intrigue and sparking rumors of potential creature footage. So back in 1996, this incident garnered global attention, featuring a UFO crash, an alleged extraterrestrial encounter, and a subsequent military cover-up, despite official government denials. It's every UFO expert and alien lover's dream. It also sounded like science fiction. To be technical, on January 13th of 1996, the United States Air Force took down a UFO, an unidentified flying object, which crashed 6 miles from a medium-sized town in southeastern Brazil. And this enigma remains one of Brazil's most famous UFO cases, drawing a lot of UFO tourism to the area. So witnesses recounted a bizarre event on that day, when a strange cigar-shaped object crashed down. Locals observed its gradual descent, describing it as resembling a struggling washing machine. Now, this incident was followed by the arrival of military personnel who quickly cordoned off the area. Now, subsequently, a group of 3 girls claimed to have encountered a strange creature with brown, oily skin, V-shaped feet, a large head, and huge red eyes. Now, the Brazilian military later was like, oh no, this creature is just a homeless guy covered in mud. But the witnesses were like, absolutely not. This creature eventually adopted the nickname the ET of the area, and it seemed to be wobbly, unsteady on its feet. The girls assumed it was injured or sick, so they fled. They told their mother they'd seen the devil, and yeah. Now, standing out in a different way was the creature's distinct odor. One ghastly inhale would weaken the knees. According to one of the witnesses, for 20 days they smelled its smell, and they couldn't stand it. They didn't know where it came from, they washed out their nose with everything they could think of, and it still stunk in there. As for the strange creature's demeanor, the woman unanimously agreed. It was muddle-headed. When the creature wagged its big noggin dizzily in their direction, that's when they bolted. They recalled pretty well the creature's fearful expression and alien characteristics, leading them to believe with absolute certainty this is not a human, this is not an animal. Now, the mystery deepened when 2 military police officers reportedly captured the creature, only for one of them to suffer a fatal infection shortly afterwards. And by the way, the girls have not changed their testimony in the more than 25 years now that have passed since the events. So after Everything touched down, rumors were spreading like wildfire. A lot of folks were like, yeah, no, we saw more UFOs before this. Later on, claims were made of additional unidentified creatures or extraterrestrial beings that were being collected and observed at a hospital. There were talks of military, police, and government trucks and personnel being really active in the area. There was an unidentified creature prowling a local forest. And then you add in that death that I mentioned earlier, and apparently there was also some unexplained animal deaths at the local zoo. UFO experts would later allege links between these and other claims, including the claim that one of the initial creature witnesses was allegedly impregnated by the creature. So going back to the military stuff, apparently 6 miles away from the crash site, the military set up quite a blockade in a residential neighborhood. Now sources say the local fire department, which is under the control of the military police, they captured one of the creatures in the morning, and then another officer captured a second near where the 3 girls had seen it that afternoon. A lot of folks were like, okay, well, I saw something. There was that cigar-shaped flying object. There was all these troops, and there was a lot of activity going on at the hospital. So when you add in all the UFO experts that were coming onto the scene, and of course the media, and the residents were like, look, 2 + 2 = 4. An official inquiry led by the Brazilian military concluded in 2010 that allegedly the woman had just encountered this homeless, mentally unstable man named Mudinho. The commander of the 24th Police Battalion military presented photographs of this citizen. They were like, yeah, no, they're not great, but he said, no, they're not great mentally. The physical characteristics match the description. And they said, like, look, maybe because this person was covered in dirt and then they were crouching, the 3 terrified girls just thought they were a space creature. And the head of the official inquiry also reported that the military trucks and personnel were performing just routine duties in the area. They're like, oh, this is just periodic maintenance. It just, normal that we set up random blockades in residential neighborhoods after people see this random homeless man that looks kind of weird. This was incorrectly interpreted as firefighters in the military and capture and whatnot. Just routine stuff. Skeptic Brian Dunning criticized the sensationalized media accounts and the claims. According to Brian, it is the most compelling example of a case where literally nothing at all happened that was remotely unusual, and it was magnified into a case that was considered, proof, absolute proof of alien visitation by many. And he's like, look, to those believers, I would suggest recalibrating where you set the bar for quality of evidence. Well, sir, I've talked about a lot of alien stories, and this one seems pretty real. There was a young woman named Nilda who said, for extraterrestrials, they may not be much, but they're the biggest thing we've had around here. She said, look, had the armed forces not interfered, maybe the locals might have, helped out the visitors, taught them local language, integrated them into the community. But Nilda said that the extraterrestrials never had a chance. Her anger at the military's alleged inhospitality actually sparked a tiff with her boyfriend, who was in the military. She claims that to some extent, the army was paying for their past sins. So during an oppressive 20-year dictatorship ending in 1985, the Brazilian military eliminated a number of earthbound political enemies by disappearing them. So in her mind, if the army was capable of liquidating human beings without a trace, why couldn't it carry such a dirty war to outer space? So, at the army base near Varinga, an inquiry concerning the extraterrestrials was received by a private, who turned it over to a sergeant, who then passed it to a major, who then sent it back down to another sergeant, who handed it over to Captain Eduardo Calza. And he's like, I used to get calls about the base talent show, not this. Now, Captain Calza says he can't vouch for what the 3 witnesses saw, but the activity on the base that fateful weekend was, according to him, anything but otherworldly. New inductees to a sergeant's training school went on parade, a truck convoy was driven to the repair shop. Now, at the town hospital, trucks delivered new cardiovascular equipment and, wait for this folks, an ambulance dropped off an exhumed corpse. But he's like, no, it was a human body. Now, bring in Vittorio Peccaccini, a UFO investigator who said, yeah, sure, tell us another story. Based upon interviews with witnesses, Mr. Peccaccini has pieced together what he considers to be a more plausible reconstruction of those events. He believes that a small alien craft on an unknown mission over the area crashed near city limits, sending its crew of smelly, spaced-out extraterrestrials, meandering about the town. And then, military squads in camouflage fatigues hunted down the visitors, poked and prodded the corpses at the municipal hospital. Now, the alleged proof that he has are videotaped statements by 2 young men in civilian clothes who claim to be members of the military detail that disposed of the alien visitors. Now, it is impossible to determine the tape's authenticity because, and rightfully so, Mr. Paccaccini won't reveal the men's names. Why? Well, they're in fear for their lives. So yes, technically there is a bit of a lack of physical evidence, unless you count descriptions of a paw print seen by one witness. And apparently it resembles like what a human hand would look like, with the palm flat and a space opened up between the ring and pinky fingers, so right about here, and the other 3 digits. Look, it kind of looks kind of Star Trek-y, but work with me here. There was a documentary that happened recently, Moment of Contact, and it reignited a lot of interest in the case. It featured interviews with witnesses and an anonymous whistleblower known as Military X, and they claimed to have been involved in transporting the creature's body to the ESA Army base. And his description of the creature's oily skin and the foot only added to our evidence. There was a college professor and amateur pilot, Carlos de Sousa, said he witnessed the crash on that very day. He described the spacecraft as the size of a school bus, but shaped like a submarine, with white smoke leaking out of a gash in the back. Once again, he's comparing it to a malfunctioning washing machine, rocking and jerking about in the sky. So when he ran to the site of the crash, he saw pieces of metal, like thin aluminum foil, spread across the field. He picked up a piece of it, crumpled it in his hand, and then let it go. And at that point, it actually returned to its original shape. Immediately afterwards, the military showed up, and they were like, okay, you, get out of here. They were ordering him away with... I'm just saying. Betty and Barney Hill were a married couple that lived in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. They decided to spontaneously take a road trip, a well-earned break that Barney decided the couple needed. Barney at the time worked a grueling night shift at the post office, driving 60 miles each way. Betty's job handling state welfare cases was no easier. So after 16 months of marriage, they saw this as their delayed honeymoon, if you will. On the last night of their 3-day trip, the tired couple sipped coffee in a Vermont diner to recharge before driving back. Barney figured, hey, if we push through, we can beat the wind and the rains and the incoming hurricane. So this UFO sighting happened around 10:30 p.m. on September 19th of 1961, just south of Lancaster, New Hampshire, when Betty noticed a bright point of light in the sky that moved from below the moon and the planet Jupiter upwards to the west of the moon. So while Barney was driving, Betty reasoned that she was observing a falling star, but she's like, no, it's moving upwards, that doesn't make sense. So because it was moving erratically and it was getting bigger and brighter, Betty convinced Barney to stop the car for a closer look. Barney obliged, stopped at a picnic area just south of Twin Mountain. Now by this point, Betty had dug out her binoculars for a closer look and described seeing an odd-shaped aircraft flashing multicolored lights traveling across the face of the moon, believing it to be a flying saucer based off of stories she had heard from her sister. She said, Barney, if you think that's a satellite or a star, you're being completely ridiculous. Here's the thing. He knew she was right. The Hill said they continued driving on the isolated road, moving very slowly in order to observe the object as it came even closer. So at one point, the object passed above a restaurant and signal tower on top of Cannon Mountain, and then came out near the Old Man of the Mountain. So Betty has testified that it was at least 1.5 times the length of the granite cliff profile, which was like 40 feet long, and it seemed to be rotating. At one point, the object descended rapidly towards their vehicle, causing Barney to stop in the middle of the highway. This huge, silent craft hovered about 80 to 100 feet above the Hill's 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air and filled the entire field of view in the windshield. Carrying his firearm in his pocket, Barry stepped away from the vehicle and moved closer to the object, which he later said was roughly the size of a huge pancake. Still using the binoculars, Barney claimed to have seen 8 to 11 humanoid figures peering out of the craft's windows, seemingly looking at him. In his report to investigator Walter Webb of the National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomena, otherwise known as NICAP, Barney described specifically that these beings were somehow not human. In unison, all but one figure moved to what appeared to be a panel on the rear wall of the hallway that encircled the front portion of the craft. The one remaining figure continued to look at Barney and communicated a message, telling him to stay where you are and keep looking. Barney had a recollection of observing the humanoid forms wearing glossy black uniforms and black caps. Red lights on what appeared to be bat-wing fins began to telescope out of the sides of the craft, and a long structure descended from the bottom of the craft. The silent aircraft approached what Barney estimated was within 50 to 80 feet overhead and like 300 feet away from him. Now, we're about to have a moment of, wait, Alexa, you're jumping over things. Nope. Not arriving home till dawn, the Hill stated that they had some odd sensations and impulses they couldn't explain. Now they're obviously very confused, just like you are, dear viewer. And the Hills say they tried to reconstruct what exactly had happened the night before, but their memories were incomplete and fragmented. See, not just me. After sleeping for a couple of hours, Betty awoke and placed the shoes and clothing she had worn during the drive into her closet, observing that the dress was torn at the hem, the zipper, the lining, and later noted a pinkish powder on the dress. Over the years, I think at least 5 different laboratories have conducted chemical and forensic analyses on the dress and came up with nothing. Oh, this wasn't the only damage to items in their possession though. Barney says that the leather strap for the binoculars was torn, but he didn't remember how. The toes of his best dress shoes were scraped, and their watches were broken, and no matter what, they never worked again. There were shiny concentric circles, similar to the rings you'd find on a tree trunk on the car's trunk, that had definitely not been there the previous day, and Betty and Barney experimented with a compass, noting that when they moved it close to the spots, it was whirling real fast. But when they moved it a few inches away, it would relax. So 10 days after the UFO encounters, Betty began having a series of vivid dreams. This continued for 5 successive nights, and she mentioned that she experienced them with a degree of detail and intensity she'd never had in a dream before. After the 5th night, they stopped, never recurred, but they occupied her thoughts during the day. So determined to recover their lost memories, the Hills opted to partake in hypnosis sessions. So, Barney recalled driving the car away from the UFO, but afterwards he felt compelled to pull off the road and drive into the woods, eventually spotting 6 men standing on the dirt road. The car stalled and 3 of the men approached the car, telling Barney not to fear them. Obviously, Barney's still anxious, and he reported that the leader told him to close his eyes. While hypnotized, Barney said, "I felt like the eyes had pushed into my eyes." This was a statement he would repeat each and every session. So then, time to be brought on the ship and examination time. Betty and Barney realized that during the examinations, they removed their clothes, the alien beings that is. They plucked strands of their hair, they took clippings of their nails, they scraped their skin. Each sample was placed on a clear material, not unlike a glass slide. There were syringes connected to long wires that probed their heads, arms, legs, and spines. One particularly large one, around 4 to 6 inches long, was inserted into Betty's belly, and this left her twisting in pain. And throughout this entire time, a being that Barney and Betty called the leader watched from the side. After Betty's examination ended, the beings rushed back into her room excited. They discovered that Barney's teeth could be removed. Betty laughed, explaining that Barney had dentures, a fact of human aging the beings struggled to understand. Later, when alone with the leader, Betty asked where the craft had flown, admitting she knew very little of the universe. And the being joked with her, saying, "If you don't know where you are, there won't be any point in telling you where I am." Even though this story was so many years ago, the Hills stuck by it, despite doubts from scientists and experts. Barney passed away sadly of a stroke in 1969, and Betty was adamant. She never varied from the story until she passed away in 2004. This experience kicked off an Air Force inquiry, part of the secretive initiative Project Blue Book that investigated UFO sightings across the country. The incident would also become the first ever widely publicized alien abduction account and shape how stories like it were told and understood from then on. Now, obviously, we are in 2024, debates do continue as to whether the husband and wife were liars, if they were writing fantasy novels, or if they were just simply sleep-deprived people who later recovered seriously scrambled memories. But all in all, this story would arguably become the most famous UFO abductee story ever. One historian even said the Hills were the Adam and Eve of alien abduction stories. The couple's tale was turned into a best-selling book and a movie starring James Earl Jones, may he rest in peace, and it has provided the template for nearly every depiction of alien encounters in pop culture sense. Now, there is a new book that claims the story maybe isn't so much about aliens as it could be about race. The Hills, an interracial couple who were also very prominent civil rights activists, told a story that reflected their growing disenchantment with the slow progress of the civil rights movement at the time. At least this is a claim from historian Matthew Bowman, who wrote this in The Abduction of Betty and Barney Hill, Alien Encounters, Civil Rights, and the New Age in America. So seeing as it's almost Halloween time, Bowman's book claims to offer an unexpected racial dimension to the story. He thinks that it might have been a story of racism instead of a story of abduction. He mentioned that Barney would have struggled with racism as a black man in that time period, and that might have been a deep part of this encounter. He mentioned that when Barney was hypnotized and recovered all these memories, the language he uses was very much similar to that of those being persecuted at the time. Both Hills did recall the encounter under hypnosis, but Barney was the one who really grew terrified reliving the event. At one point, he sobbed as he recounted the UFO closing in on him, saying, "God, what is it? God, I'm scared." When you think about it, the Hills story really did change the way people regarded alien encounters. Before this, most people reported friendly encounters with UFOs and aliens. Aliens used to be these noble and giving visitors, these gods, if we're talking about like the Anunnaki theory. But the Hills added an element of horror to these stories, with the details, the gray-skinned aliens with the large head, the black eyes, the missing periods of time, the forced medical examinations. These elements became staples in so much of pop culture afterwards.
The Kecksburg Incident, 1965. A mysterious object crashed near Kecksburg, Pennsylvania. Eyewitness accounts describe a football-shaped object with hieroglyphic-like markings. The U.S. military recovered the object, but its nature remains classified. Next, we have the OHare Airport UFO Incident, 2006. Several United Airlines pilots reported seeing a large, white, egg-shaped object near OHare International Airport in Chicago. On November 7, 2006, a remarkable UFO sighting occurred at OHare International Airport in Chicago. Multiple United Airlines employees, including experienced pilots, reported seeing a large, white, egg-shaped object hovering above the airport. The object was described as silently floating, seemingly defying gravity. The incident gained significant media attention and sparked widespread interest in the UFO community. Many witnesses, including air traffic controllers, maintenance workers, and airline personnel, corroborated the sighting. The Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, initially dismissed the incident as a potential weather phenomenon, but the persistence of multiple credible eyewitness accounts fueled speculation. The Roswell incident, arguably the most famous UFO case in history, unfolded in the summer of 1947 near Roswell, New Mexico. The initial spark was ignited on July 8, 1947, when the Roswell Army Airfield RAAF issued a press release announcing the recovery of a flying disc from a ranch near Roswell. This declaration sent shockwaves through the public, igniting fervent speculation about extraterrestrial life. However, the narrative took a dramatic turn within days. On July 9th, the military issued a revised statement, reclassifying the recovered debris as a weather balloon. This swift retraction fueled even more intrigue, as many believed it was a cover-up to conceal the true nature of the incident. The recovered debris, consisting of metallic and rubber fragments, was initially examined by Major Jesse Marcel, an intelligence officer from the RAAF. Marcel's initial assessment, shared with the Roswell Daily Record, fueled the belief that the debris was of extraterrestrial origin. However, subsequent investigations by the military concluded that the materials were consistent with a weather balloon. The weather balloon explanation, while official, has never fully satisfied skeptics and UFO enthusiasts. The Roswell incident remains a captivating enigma, with persistent rumors of alien involvement and a crashed spacecraft. Decades later, the event continues to spark intense debate and speculation, fueling the enduring fascination with the possibility of extraterrestrial life. Next up, we have the Phoenix Lights. On March 13, 1997, the skies above Arizona were illuminated by a series of mysterious lights, sparking a wave of intrigue and speculation that continues to this day. The Phoenix Lights, as they became known, were observed by thousands of witnesses across the state, from Nevada to Tucson. The most prominent sighting involved a V-shaped formation of lights that moved slowly across the sky. This formation was followed by a series of stationary lights that hovered near the Sierra Estrella Mountains. The lights were described as large, glowing orbs that emitted a steady reddish hue. The incident immediately captured the public's imagination, with many speculating that the lights were of extraterrestrial origin. News outlets reported on the sightings, and the event quickly became a national sensation. Even Arizona's then-governor, Fife Symington, publicly acknowledged the event and expressed his curiosity about the nature of the lights. While various explanations have been proposed over the years, none have definitively accounted for all aspects of the phenomenon. Some theories suggest that the lights were flares dropped by military aircraft, while others point to atmospheric phenomena or misidentified celestial objects. However, many witnesses and UFO enthusiasts remain unconvinced by these explanations, maintaining that the Phoenix Lights remain an unexplained mystery. Now we have the Kenneth Arnold sighting. On June 24, 1947, Kenneth Arnold, a seasoned pilot, was flying near Mount Rainier, Washington, when he witnessed a series of 9 mysterious objects moving at incredible speeds. Arnold described them as saucer-shaped, moving with a motion similar to a saucer skipping across water. This vivid description, when reported to the press, popularized the term flying saucer and ignited a wave of public interest in unidentified flying objects, UFOs. Arnold's sighting was the first widely publicized UFO incident of the modern era. It sparked a frenzy of UFO reports across the United States and around the world. The mysterious nature of the objects, coupled with Arnold's credibility as a pilot, fueled speculation about extraterrestrial life and advanced technology. In the decades since, the Kenneth Arnold sighting has remained a cornerstone of UFO lore. While some have suggested that Arnold may have misinterpreted natural phenomena or misidentified conventional aircraft, the enduring fascination with his account underscores the enduring human curiosity about the unknown. The term flying saucer, coined in the wake of Arnold's sighting, has become synonymous with UFOs, a testament to the enduring impact of this historic event. Now we have the Rendlesham Forest incident, often dubbed Britain's Roswell, is one of the most intriguing and well-documented UFO cases in history. It unfolded over several nights in December 1980 near RAF Woodbridge and RAF Bentwaters, two U.S. Air Force bases in Suffolk, England. The incident began on December 26th when several airmen reported observing strange lights in the nearby Rendlesham Forest. These lights were described as pulsating and changing colors, moving erratically through the trees. Some witnesses even claimed to have seen a physical object, a triangular craft with lights on its corners. The most compelling testimony came from Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt, the deputy base commander at RAF Woodbridge. Halt led a team of investigators into the forest to examine the strange lights. He reported seeing a glowing object hovering above the trees, emitting a beam of light that scanned the surrounding area. Halt and his team claimed to have taken radiation readings in the area, which were significantly higher than normal. The following night, more sightings were reported, further intensifying the mystery. The incident drew significant media attention and sparked intense debate among UFO enthusiasts and skeptics. While some dismissed the event as a case of misidentification or mass hysteria, others believed it to be genuine evidence of extraterrestrial visitation. Despite numerous investigations and analyses, the Rendlesham Forest incident remains shrouded in mystery. The official explanation from the British Ministry of Defense attributed the sightings to a navigational light from a passing aircraft. However, this explanation has been widely criticized by many who believe it fails to account for the numerous eyewitness testimonies and physical evidence. The incident continues to fascinate and intrigue, inspiring countless books, documentaries, and theories. It serves as a reminder of the enduring human fascination with the unknown and the possibility of extraterrestrial life. From there, let's talk about the Hudson Valley UFO wave. This was a series of sightings that occurred between 1982 and 1986 in the Hudson Valley region of New York State, and remains one of the most intriguing and well-documented UFO cases in history. The sightings began in 1982 and continued for several years, with thousands of people reporting encounters with large V-shaped objects adorned with bright lights. These objects were often described as silent and capable of rapid acceleration and deceleration. What made this wave of sightings particularly notable was the high number of credible witnesses, including police officers, airline pilots, and other professionals. One of the most famous incidents occurred on March 24, 1983, when over 300 people reported seeing a V-shaped craft hovering silently over the Hudson Valley. This event, dubbed the Westchester Boomerang, gained significant media attention and sparked widespread interest in the phenomenon. Despite the numerous eyewitness accounts and radar data that appeared to corroborate the sightings, no definitive explanation has ever been offered. The U.S. Air Force investigated the incidents, but concluded that there was no evidence of extraterrestrial activity. However, many people remain convinced that the Hudson Valley UFO wave was a genuine encounter with something extraordinary.
Stonehenge, with its perfectly aligned stones, seems to whisper of a profound understanding of astronomy. The pyramids of Giza, with their intricate passages and astronomical alignments, defy easy explanation. How did ancient civilizations with limited technology move and erect these colossal stones? These questions have fueled countless theories, including the possibility of advanced civilizations existing long before our own. Did these ancient builders possess knowledge and technology that we have yet to rediscover? Did they have help? These are questions that continue to captivate our imaginations and remind us of the enduring mysteries of our past. The sheer scale and precision of megalithic structures like Stonehenge and the pyramids of Giza continue to baffle archaeologists. How did ancient civilizations, with limited technology, move and erect these massive stones? Some propose a more outlandish explanation: extraterrestrial assistance. Could it be that these awe-inspiring monuments, with their intricate alignments and seemingly impossible construction techniques, were built with the help of advanced beings from beyond our own planet? The idea is certainly provocative. Imagine ancient humans encountering beings with technology far beyond their comprehension, perhaps even witnessing firsthand the power of anti-gravity or advanced energy sources. These encounters could have profoundly impacted the development of human civilization, leading to the construction of these enigmatic structures as a testament to this extraordinary contact. Of course, this is a highly speculative theory, but it forces us to question our understanding of the past and to consider the possibility that our history may be intertwined with the history of a civilization far beyond our own. If aliens truly did help build the pyramids, how would they have done it? This is where the theories get truly mind-bending. Imagine, instead of brute force and thousands of laborers, advanced technology being used. Perhaps they employed some form of anti-gravity technology, making those massive stone blocks feel weightless, easily maneuvered into place. Or maybe they utilized some form of energy beam to precisely cut and shape the stones, a technology far beyond anything the ancient Egyptians could have conceived. The possibilities are endless and truly mind-boggling. Did they use some form of advanced levitation, hovering the stones into position with incredible precision? Did they possess some form of energy manipulation, perhaps using beams to shape and move the stones with ease? Of course, this is all speculation. But it's fun to imagine the incredible feats of engineering that might have been possible with advanced extraterrestrial technology. It forces us to question our own understanding of construction and to consider the possibility of ancient encounters with beings far more advanced than ourselves. What if Stonehenge isn't just a monument to a bygone era? What if it's something more? What if it's a message, a beacon, a signal sent across the cosmos? Some theorists propose that Stonehenge isn't just a collection of massive stones, but a sophisticated communication device, a way for an ancient civilization to contact other life forms in the universe. Perhaps the precise alignments of the stones, their intricate carvings, even the very placement of the monument itself, all serve a purpose beyond human comprehension. Imagine Stonehenge as a giant antenna, transmitting a signal, a message, a beacon to any intelligent life that might be listening. A message from our ancestors, a testament to their existence, a plea for contact, or perhaps simply a marker for future visitors from the stars. Of course, this is highly speculative, a product of our own imaginations, but it's a fascinating concept, a reminder that the universe may hold secrets far beyond our current understanding. The Temple of Jupiter. Optimus Maximus, a cornerstone of ancient Rome, stands as a testament to human ingenuity and ambition. But what if there's more to this magnificent structure than meets the eye? What if, instead of solely a product of Roman ingenuity, it bears the mark of a more profound collaboration? Some outlandish theories suggest that this iconic temple, with its colossal columns and intricate carvings, might have been built with the assistance of an extraterrestrial intelligence. Imagine a scenario where ancient Romans, perhaps through contact with a visiting civilization, gained access to advanced technologies and knowledge beyond their own comprehension. Could these extraterrestrial beings have provided guidance, technology, or even direct labor in the construction of this monumental temple? It's a mind-bending concept, pushing the boundaries of our understanding of ancient history and the potential for contact with beings from beyond our own planet. The story of human evolution is a long and complex one, filled with twists and turns. But what if there's more to the story than we realize? What if, somewhere out there, another intelligence played a hand in shaping our destiny? The idea that aliens may have influenced human evolution is a provocative one. Did extraterrestrial beings, with their advanced technology and knowledge, intervene in our development? Did they perhaps guide our early ancestors, sharing their wisdom, or even subtly manipulating our genetic code? It's a mind-bending concept, to say the least. Imagine a scenario where our ancestors encountered beings from another world, beings with a profound understanding of the universe. This encounter could have triggered a leap in human consciousness, accelerating our technological and cultural development in ways we can only begin to imagine. The question of whether aliens played a role in the construction of ancient megalithic structures like Stonehenge and the pyramids of Giza remains a captivating mystery. While the idea of extraterrestrial involvement may seem far-fetched, it forces us to confront the limitations of our current understanding of human history and the potential for extraordinary events in the distant past. Perhaps these magnificent structures were not simply the product of human ingenuity, but a testament to a collaboration, a knowledge exchange between humans and a more advanced civilization. The truth may remain elusive, lost in the sands of time, but the very possibility that we may not fully understand the origins of these awe-inspiring monuments serves as a reminder of the vastness of human history and the incredible mysteries that still await discovery.
In November 2024, the Pentagon unveiled a report that dramatically challenged our understanding of the unknown. This groundbreaking document included hundreds of new accounts of unidentified and unexplained aerial phenomena. However, the intriguing part was that many of these sightings didn't just happen in the skies. They originated from the ocean depths. Witnesses described objects moving underwater at speeds exceeding 500 knots, approximately 575 miles per hour, far outpacing any known human-made submarine, which typically reaches around 50 knots. These objects executed maneuvers that defied our understanding of physics, such as instantaneously accelerating from complete stillness to top speed within seconds, making abrupt 180-degree turns without any visible propulsion, and diving to depths over 10,000 feet in moments. These rapid movements and extreme agility challenge the basic principles of fluid dynamics and inertia, rendering these sightings not only perplexing, but seemingly impossible with existing technology. What are these enigmatic entities, and where do they originate? Witnesses have reported objects that move underwater at speeds vastly exceeding any known human-made vehicle. They accelerate swiftly, change direction abruptly, and descend to extreme depths without any apparent means of propulsion. In some cases, these objects have been seen emerging from the ocean's surface, hovering briefly, and then either disappearing into the water or vanishing into the sky. They often display unusual shapes and colors, occasionally emitting bright lights that illuminate the darkness of the deep. During a congressional hearing on unidentified anomalous phenomena in July 2023, military personnel provided detailed accounts of these underwater encounters. Witnesses described observing orbs among groups of unidentified vessels off the US East Coast. Some of these orbs came into close proximity with military ships, raising concerns and questions about their origin and purpose. Journalist Michael Schellenberger presented a video sourced from the US Department of Defense's network, showing a white orb UFO emerging from the ocean off the coast of Kuwait. Captured from a helicopter, the footage depicts the orb moving erratically, rapidly changing direction and speed, and eventually being joined by another orb before both disappear into the water. But what could explain these phenomena? Could they be misidentified natural events, advanced technology from foreign nations, or something more extraordinary lurking beneath the surface? Some researchers propose that these sightings might be evidence of a previously unknown civilization of underwater beings. Others suggest they could be linked to advanced underwater military technology developed by other nations. However, the capabilities displayed by these objects surpass any known human technology. Why would extraterrestrials choose the ocean as their hiding place? Or do they perhaps own the ocean? Could they have inhabited the ocean before humans even existed on this planet? The ocean is vast and largely unexplored, covering over 70% of Earth's surface. We've explored less than 5% of it. Its immense pressure, darkness, and inhospitable conditions make it a challenging environment for human exploration. For beings with advanced technology, the ocean could offer the perfect sanctuary, a place to observe us without being detected, hidden in plain sight. The ocean's hostile environment, compared to the emptiness of space, might actually be more suitable for a species adapted to extreme conditions. Could the depths of our oceans, teeming with unknown ecosystems and unexplored territories, be the ideal hiding spot for extraterrestrial visitors? Is it possible that while we've been searching the stars, the true secrets have been hidden beneath our oceans all along? Could these underwater UFOs be evidence of extraterrestrial life that has been inhabiting our oceans for millennia? If so, what are their intentions? Are they observing us, studying our behaviors, or perhaps influencing events in ways we cannot comprehend? NASA, the agency spearheading the search for extraterrestrial life, officially states that there is no evidence of alien existence, yet they are actively involved in studying unidentified aerial phenomena. NASA funds and conducts extensive astrobiology research, exploring the origins of life and the potential for life in extreme environments. They have launched scientific missions like the Viking probes to Mars, the Cassini mission to Saturn, and the Kepler and James Webb Space Telescopes, all aimed at finding potentially habitable environments environments and evidence of life beyond Earth. Additionally, NASA established an independent UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena, study team in 2022 to examine these phenomena from a scientific standpoint. The team focuses on identifying data gaps, developing data analysis strategies, and recommending future research directions. They emphasize using Earth-observing satellites and other instruments to collect data on UAPs, striving to provide scientific explanations for these mysterious occurrences. NASA advocates for transparency and collaboration, yet definitive answers remain elusive. However, allegations have emerged accusing NASA of withholding information related to extraterrestrial life. Whistleblowers like former US Navy pilot David Fravor and former US intelligence officer David Grush have come forward with claims that the government possesses evidence of extraterrestrial life and is actively concealing it from the public. These claims often involve recovered alien spacecraft and technology, as well as the reverse engineering of advanced alien tech. Conspiracy theories suggest that NASA is part of a cover-up, citing unexplained events, leaked documents, or alleged suppression of information. Some even propose the existence of a secret space program where governments develop advanced technology with the assistance of extraterrestrial beings. Could NASA be hiding truths about extraterrestrial encounters? Despite their denials and emphasis on scientific integrity, the lack of concrete evidence fuels speculation and mistrust. The idea that such monumental information is being concealed raises profound ethical and philosophical questions. Why would NASA keep significant information secret? Revealing extraterrestrial life could trigger global panic, disrupt societal structures, challenge religious beliefs, alter geopolitical dynamics, and even lead to the weaponization or an arms race with unimaginable consequences. Without transparency, we are left with more questions than answers. As sightings increase and inquiries multiply, NASA's silence on underwater anomalies becomes increasingly noticeable. Why can't they, with all their resources and expertise, clarify these mysteries? Are we prepared to confront the possibility that the oceans harbor secrets beyond our wildest imaginations? Perhaps it's time to shift our focus from the skies to the depths of our planet. The vast and largely unexplored oceans make them an ideal hiding place for advanced beings. If aliens are concealed in our oceans, what are their intentions? Are they mere observers, or do they play an active role in Earth's ecosystems? For example, a group of dolphins was once seen following an unidentified underwater object, suggesting a possible connection. The evidence is compelling, yet the answers remain submerged. Unexplained objects, credible witness accounts, and the ocean's mysteries hint at something extraordinary beneath us. As deep-sea exploration technology advances, we may one day uncover the secrets hidden in the deep.
The UFOs at S4. Bob Lazar's most famous claim centers around the existence of 9 alien spacecraft hidden at a secretive base near Area 51. It's called S4. Now, Lazar stated that these UFOs were unlike anything that we've ever seen. According to him, these ships were shaped like discs with a highly advanced propulsion system that defied the laws of physics. How fun is that? The UFOs didn't use traditional engines or wings. Instead, they had a device that manipulated gravity, allowing them to float, hover, and zip around at unimaginable speeds. Yeah, they can control gravity. That's kind of not fair. Lazar even claimed that he got to work up close with one of these crafts, where he witnessed firsthand how it can move in ways that no human-made craft could, essentially appearing to break all known laws of physics. Element 115. One of the most significant claims Lazar made was about a mysterious element called Element 115. Now, when Lazar spoke about it in the late 1980s, Element 115 had not yet been discovered. Yeah, spoiler alerts, Lazar. He claimed that it was used as a power source for these UFOs. Now, according to Lazar, when Element 115 was exposed to radiation, it generated a gravity field strong enough to power the spacecraft, allowing them to float and travel at speeds that seem impossible by today's standards. In 2003, scientists created a synthetic version of Element 115, but it is highly unstable and only lasts for a fraction of a second. But that's a start. Lazar's description sparked further interest in the element, as it seemed to align with the scientific discovery of a new element, adding weight to his claims. Anti-gravity technology. Lazar often spoke about the anti-gravity technology used in these UFOs. It's the most important part, right? He describes it in detail. He claims believes the flying saucers would utilize a gravity manipulation device that bends the fabric of space-time around them. So nothing's going on in the ship, but they move everything else around it. Confusing. This device, in Lazar's view, didn't just allow the ships to float, it enabled them to perform maneuvers that seemed literally impossible, such as sharp turns, sudden stops, or instant accelerations without the inertia or forces that human pilots would experience. You ever see those videos of pilots passing out? That wouldn't happen here at all. Lazar suggested that the technology was so advanced that it defied everything we know about propulsion, gravity, and physics in general. He described it as a game changer, of course. If we could replicate it, it could revolutionize not only space travel, but energy generation as well. Yeah, no more buses. We're going to be floating to school in the future. The sport model UFO. In addition to the larger, more mysterious crafts, Lazar also described a smaller UFO, which he referred to as the sport model. It's kind of funny. This craft was only about 16 feet wide and could carry a small crew or just a single pilot. Lazar had the opportunity to examine the sport model closely, and he describes its designs as unlike anything created by human beings. One of the most fascinating aspects of said sport model, according to Lazar, was its method of control. See, instead of using buttons, levers, or any conventional instrument, steering wheel, anything like that, this UFO seemed to respond directly to the pilot's thoughts. Imagine that. It was as if the ship was alive, anticipating the pilot's actions and moving accordingly. Lazar's descriptions made the ship seem more like a living organism rather than an actual machine, and he believed that it was the next step in extraterrestrial technology. Driving with your mind? That'd be a bad idea. Sometimes when I drive, I'll just kind of blank out and miss the last 5 streets. If that happened in space, you'd be lost forever. Gravity amplifiers. A crucial piece of the UFO's technology that Lazar described was the gravity amplifier. Now, these devices were used to manipulate gravitational fields and enabled the UFOs to achieve this incredible flight ability, right? According to Lazar, the gravity amplifiers worked by amplifying the gravitational field of element 15, which I talked about earlier. This would allow the UFO to manipulate space-time in such a way that they could just float lightly and move in ways that seem impossible for any Earth-made technology. Lazar emphasized that this was the key to understanding the UFO's ability to defy gravity and perform seemingly impossible feats like instant acceleration or sudden changes in direction. Maybe this is exactly what Lazar was talking about. Maybe that's why we can't get one of them on camera. They're too quick. The reverse engineering program. At S4, Lazar claimed that the government was running a program to reverse engineer alien technology, stuff we find lying around, with the goal of understanding how the UFOs worked and eventually using this knowledge to create human-made versions of the crafts. Lazar stated that his job was to help study the propulsion systems of the UFOs, although he was only given limited access to the technology. More than fair. I mean, it's alien technology, not everyone gets to touch it. He explained that the project was highly secretive and the scientists working on the UFOs weren't told everything. Each person involved only knew a small part of a large puzzle. Lazar believed the ultimate goal of the program was to develop advanced weaponry and technology by harnessing the power of alien spacecrafts. That would be terrifying. Independence Day, but make it real. Extraterrestrial biological entities. While Lazar didn't claim to have met any aliens himself, he did describe what he called extraterrestrial biological entities, or EBEs. These were alien beings that Lazar believed were connected to the UFOs that he worked on. He said that one of these beings was kept at Facility S4 and that it was a small, gray, and very similar to the grays often depicted in UFO lore. It was a little tiny gray alien. Apparently he saw it. He said he was told that the beings were part of ongoing research into alien technology. Now this of course adds another layer to Lazar's story, implying that the government not only has UFOs, but also has access to alien bodies or living extraterrestrials. Free my boy E.T. S4's location and security. So where is this S4 base that I keep mentioning? Lazar gave detailed descriptions of the secret base that he worked at, which he said was located near Papoose Lake, about 12 miles south of the famous Area 51. He claimed the base was highly secure with layers of protection to keep intruders away. Now Lazar described the base as having multiple security checkpoints, armed guards, surveillance cameras, and restricted areas. All the goods. He emphasized how secretive the whole operation was, with very few people knowing the full scope of the research taking place right there. Lazar himself was only allowed to work on certain parts of the UFOs, and he wasn't briefed on the bigger picture, right? They only know a small amount each. Now this sense of secrecy only deepened the mystery of S4, leading to endless speculation about what or where exactly the government is hiding. Project Pluto. One of the more intriguing pieces of Lazar's story involves a top secret project that he mentioned called Project Pluto. Lazar said this was the code name for the program aimed at studying alien spacecraft and attempting to reverse engineer their technology. Although Lazar didn't know all of the details, he believed that Project Pluto was one of the government's most ambitious and secretive operations ever, and it focused on understanding how the UFOs worked and how they could use their technology and, make an iPod out of it or something crazy. Lazar's brief exposure to the project gave him insight into how the government was actively trying to decode alien tech, but he had only a small piece of the puzzle, so we gotta wait to find out more. Lazar's disappearance. After Lazar revealed his UFO-related claims, something strange happened. Many of his personal records seemed to disappear. He claimed to have attended both MIT and Caltech, but when researchers tried to verify this, there were no records of his attendance. Nothing could be found. Likewise, people who knew Lazar before his UFO story didn't seem to remember him now. Some people believe Lazar was intentionally erased from public records to silence him, suggesting that the government took extreme measures to make sure that he stayed quiet and their alien secrets stayed closed off. His sudden disappearance from the public eye only adds to the mystery, and many are wondering still to this day, was he a whistleblower telling the truth, or was his story fabricated for personal gain? What do you think? Comment down below.